Musical Talk, the independent musical theatre podcast at the Edinburgh Fringe. Hello and welcome to Musical Talk. I'm Thos Ribbits, not to be mistaken with the 7th century King Edwin, after whom Edinburgh is sometimes thought to be named, Edwinsborough. Although, I have to say, particularly on dark nights, I do look a little bit like a man who died 1400 years ago. We'll let that pass. Now, they do say that comedy is all comedy's all in the, it's in the, comedy's in the, timing. And with perfect comedy timing, Musical Talk starts its review of the great musicals that you could have seen at the Edinburgh Fringe this year, 2012, on the very day after the Fringe finished, because it runs for 3 weeks and ends on the Bank Holiday Monday. And today, the day we broadcast, is the day after that. But don't worry, because if you missed the opportunity of going to the Fringe this year, and remember it is the biggest arts festival in the world, and musical theatre is hugely well represented there, both in its new written forms and some of its more classic shows being revived, then you can relive that, or make up for the absence in your life, and there must be a massive hole where Edinburgh doesn't fit, by listening to the next few weeks of Musical Talk, because we're doing what we always do, which is having a run of episodes dedicated to those shows which were available to be seen up in Edinburgh. And over the next few weeks you'll be hearing from a plethora, good word that, a plethora of actors, composers, lyricists, musical directors, choreographers and producers, as well as all manner of other people involved in shows. And so we'll be looking at all manner of musicals, new and old, from all manner of angles. So there should be something for everyone. And of course the thing about these Edinburgh interviews is that they aren't so very long in most cases, so if there's one you're not finding interesting, hang in there, because there'll be another one along in a few minutes. And it won't just be my boring old voice droning at you through your earphones, because Sandra and David, other Musical Talk presenters, were also up at the Fringe making recordings, and so over the next few weeks you'll hear episodes including their wonderful dulcet voices and their personal insights into what was going on. And not only that, this year we're trying a new thing as well. We are going to be theming most of our Musical Talk episodes about the Fringe. So it won't just be a gander bag of any old stuff, a potpourri, a lucky dip, a random selection, a miscellanea, a hotchpotch, a cold collation buffet. I've run out of words. It won't just be a random selection of interviews. They will be in some way connected by a theme. It will, in one or two cases, be slightly tenuous, but that's the way thematic episode scheduling works. There's a trick of the trade for you. And finally, because we're going to be on for the next few weeks, and the Fringe is not everybody's cup of tea, although I weep for you sad, soulless characters for whom that's true, but in order to make sure that these episodes are of interest to everybody and reflect what's going on in musical theatre, we will also be including a few items about current musical theatre going on elsewhere as well. So it's going to be a real magazine programme over the next few weeks. But let's start with today's. And to begin with, I can hear you screaming at me with the question, but what's the theme for the first episode? At least I think that's what you're screaming. You could just be hollering at the windows of my house, trying to get out. Well, today's theme is going to be, quite simply, the cream of the Fringe. Best in show, if you like. Because the shows we're going to be talking about today were all 5-star productions, or, in one case, our pick of the Fringe for 2012. I'm not going to tell you yet what that is, but you will be hearing music from it, and incidentally, there'll be songs throughout the next few weeks' episodes from various shows. But this episode looks at some of the 5-star shows, not all. There are others scattered around in the next few episodes, but this is just a collection of some of the best. And these shows are extremely diverse. There's brand new Edinburgh shows, established Edinburgh shows, established Broadway shows, and a showcase of two of the greatest British composers ever, Ivor Novello and Noel Coward. All human life is here, and so is approximately a century of music, because Ivor Novello had his first hit in the First World War. So, what are we going to hear today? Well, let us start, as they would, on Sesame Street. because the first item on today's programme is going to be brought to you by the letter B. In this case, with the words the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling in front of it. Yes, that's right, because the first show we're tackling today is William Finn's modern classic, the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, which came to Edinburgh in a 5-star version as far as we were concerned. Let's hear from the people behind that. Musical Talk.
I'm Alex, and I founded Patch of Blue Theatre 3 years ago, and I'm one of the directors of Spelling Bee, and this is Caroline.
I'm Caroline. I'm also the director of Spelling Bee, and we're also both the producers of the company and artistic directors as well. And
yeah, we run the company. We run the company together, and we have another producer, but it's essentially just the two of us, really.
Mm.
So the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. It's a cultish musical in the sense that it's well known, but it's not well known in wider public circles. So in some senses, that's a little bit of a punt. Why did you pick it? How did it come to your attention?
The Dress Circle shop, which is sadly closing,
I think has now gone.
Has it now?
Last weekend.
Dear.
Last weekend, yeah.
That's
Went with
really
the
terrible.
Olympics,
I found the soundtrack in there years and years ago, and I thought it was such a crazy idea for a musical. I had to buy it and I had to find out, and I listened to it and I absolutely loved it. And we've been pursuing the rights for quite a while now, but obviously we couldn't have them until after there was a London performance. So
this is the one at the Donmar Warehouse.
Just the one at the Donmar Warehouse.
February.
And then as soon as that happened, we started pursuing the rights, and we wrote to
William Finn,
and then eventually got the professional rights sorted through Joseph Weinberger, and it was fantastic to be the first production outside of London since and then that's been a great thing to be able to sell the show and encourage people to come along. It's something new. We've had quite a lot of American people we've met who know it really, really well, but most British people haven't heard of it, so it's really nice being able to introduce people to something and something we're so passionate about as well. It's a fantastic show, and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
It is one of those shows that seems to draw people in. I went with a friend who's not particularly into musical theatre, went because I was going, and he went away saying it was the best thing he saw. He saw 13 shows in Edinburgh.
Oh, well,
he said it was by far the best thing he saw, and he's still delighted by it. And if the publishers are listening, he's going off to buy the soundtrack album when he gets back home.
Oh.
So it's also generating sales, which is very important. But have you found that there having been a recent London production a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, you've sort of answered that already.
I think because we're so far away from London, I don't think it's a great thing to be able to say it's the first time it's been done in Scotland. So I don't think that's hindered us. If anything, it means that maybe a few more people have heard of it. It's bringing a few more people to it, but. I think for most people they've not heard of it at all, and it's
really.
like this is it is a shame, and I hope we're introducing it to people, and people are going away and buying the soundtrack and watching stuff on YouTube and.
I think as a show, it's such an American concept.
Oh, yeah.
The idea of a spelling bee. We don't really have that in Britain. But we do now. We do now because the idea of spelling bee.
The British Spelling Bee is now sponsored by the Times, and there was a big article in the Metro about it at the end of June. The regional heats like the Putnam County one, they take place online in Britain, and then they have a big fan. So it is becoming a bigger thing.
We do it online.
Rather than have the regional heat, and then when it gets later on in the stages, then they have
it manifests heats, as it were.
So. It's not as irrelevant to, I think some of there was a bit of a silly criticism that was made of it in London, was that it's irrelevant to us, and it's certainly not at all, because we have spelling bees here, but also
the French Revolution's finished, so we shouldn't go and see Les Mis.
Absolutely,
What absolute nonsense.
Absolutely, because I mean it's not what the focus of the show is growing up and being a 12-year-old and the relationships between the characters. and how we treat our children and what sort of environment we bring our children up in. The fact that it's a spelling bee is any kind of competition.
It's very critical of parents, actually. Isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
So let me ask you about tone. Now you've got the you've acquired the rights, you've got the libretto in front of you, and how do you two, as sort of directors, the creatives behind this, the dynamic forces, ladies and gentlemen, how do you then say, right, we're going to do it like this, or we're going to head it off in this direction? I mean, and is there a simple word to describe the approach you were going to take? I
think with everything we do, we want it to be as intimate and as interactive as possible to involve the audience, to make them feel more and feel as if they're coming into an environment. Yeah, exactly. Like in this case, that they are the audience of the spelling bee. We last year with Godspell, we involved the audience a lot with helping tell the story, and I think that was our primary concern, was to make it as real as possible, as absolutely, as much like a spelling bee as possible, and as informal as possible. We've literally just now been to see Jessie Cave, who was hilarious. And one of the things we loved about that was how much she involved the audience, how just informal and enjoyable it was. And I think that's one of the great things about this musical, that you can make it. You can make it as informal and enjoyable as possible without... I mean,
members of the audience actually get to be parents for some of the spellers, and obviously 3 of them get to volunteer themselves to be guest spellers, so it's very
built-in
immersive.
Interaction in there.
It's built in.
It's great. As I say, with Godspell last year, we put that in, but this great show for us because it's already there.
It's built in. So with William Barfay, or Barfay, however you like to say it, he finds a mother every night. A woman in the audience gives her his bottle, his water bottle, his inhaler, asks her, if she's got his packed jelly sandwiches.
And people get really involved.
And people get really involved.
We had a lovely write-up. Somebody wrote a lovely review of us on edfringe.com say about how her friend had the inhaler, and she'd make sure she kept shaking it every so often to make sure that it was ready for him.
It's not often that the audience does the method, is it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. People really have been really great at getting involved, and especially when the people who we've asked to spell have been great. People seem to really warm to it, which is great. I think the Fringe is a great atmosphere for that. People
up for
come
things in an environment where they aren't necessarily being seen by all their friends as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people come expecting maybe something a bit different than your usual theatre experience, so it's really good for us.
As a piece, it's actually extremely deceptive, isn't it? Because it's a musical comedy, which is rare enough, and yet, when you finish, you've been put through the ringer because I don't know about you, but I dislike nearly all the parents, many of which are unseen in this.
Absolutely,
You realise what they're putting their children through, or what these children are doing in order to try and impress these really dreadful adults, for the most part. So you've got that sort of failed relationship, which is a big William Finn thing anyway. I mean, pretty much all his shows about failed parental bonds. But you've also got this, you've got the genuine sentiment. I mean, the William Barfay character is such an unpleasant child, and yet at the end you root for him, not to win the contest necessarily, but for him to make a friend. Yeah, so it is about the human connections, the human bonds. Do you think the text itself speaks that enough, or do you have to direct that through as well?
I think maybe it doesn't, because as we were saying about London, I think that was maybe one thing that didn't come across, the human element of it. So I think with certainly one thing we'd tried to do with the character of Olive. I see you were definitely keen to give her more of a personality
and more of a life. Really, Olive's the way that we've portrayed Olive. She's quite quirky, and I think you could definitely play her as just a really deadpan character. I mean, the most important thing with this is to think that the characters are real people. They're real kids, teenagers, and adults.
The first thing
like
we did
that,
before we even started looking at the script with the actors, the first thing we did was we sat and watched Spellbound, which is the documentary
film,
about
the... Yes.
And
not the Hitchcock murder mystery.
Not that.
No. The one with all the surrealist imagery. So yes.
To make sure they realise that these aren't just characters in a musical; these are very, very close to the real children that participate in the spelling bees, and what we were doing was portraying something that maybe certainly here in the UK a lot of people wouldn't have experienced. So it's quite an important thing and not something to be taken lightly. So,
but I think they all have qualities that everyone can relate to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think just how shy and introverted Olive is as a character. I mean, I was definitely like that when I was younger. I think they definitely we really tried to emphasise just how real they should be playing the character.
It's funny actually because they are transferable even in a non-direct sense. By which I mean the Leaf Honeybear character, who's the sort of he's the 17th son, isn't he, or something in an enormous family of New Agers by the sound of it.
Yeah.
And he turns up in handmade clothing, and that is not something that's very British, although we're aware of it from our Hollywood knowledge. But in fact, actually, it's all summed up when he says, "I am a gentle boy."
Yeah,
and suddenly you know
yeah.
exactly what kind of boy he is, and you do know that he's a gentle. There's no other way of putting it.
I have a gentle personality, which is anathema to my more aggressive family.
Yes.
And again, he's homeschooled, which is something we have a lot of here as well. So I think it's definitely transferable into everybody's lives. So definitely we can relate to the characters. I think, which is.
How did your cast respond to it? Because you've got to. I'm going to say this isn't meant in any way negatively. It is a youth cast. They're all very young.
They're all in their early 20s.
Which of course age this production because most of the characters in it are young.
Mm-hmm,
They're playing under their age, aren't they? Really? But did they bounce at the opportunity? Did they say this is the best thing ever?
Several of them were aware of it already. Particularly Ross, who plays Leaf. It's one of his favourite musicals, and he's wanted to play this character for a very, very long time. So he came with
his hair especially to be tousled.
Yeah, and I think certainly after watching the documentary and realising that what we were trying to do with it, I think they've all been very enthusiastic and very, very on board with it. We had a lovely review that I think it was from the stage that said it was nice to see the company, the actors supporting the immersive idea and the improv, and about two-thirds of them were involved in Godspell last year, so they knew exactly what they were getting themselves into when they were coming back with us this year. They knew it would be interactive and there'd be a lot of improv required, and they just throw themselves into it. They're fantastic. We're very, very lucky, I think, to have such talented and dedicated people.
But it is the intimacy of the piece, and it's the intimacy that you've managed to generate, possibly through that connection, actually, which I think really is what marks it out as being something special. I mean, it's a very strong book, it's a very strong score, it's very well produced, but it's also been extremely well directed. You have.
Oh, thank you.
You've made forgive me. It's easy to theatre comes in two types, very roughly. There's the type you watch and the type that you feel and get engaged with, and this is very much the engagement. I mean, you were talking about having the actors in character, talking to people as they sit down. You're blessed with the venue in a sense because unlike there's no circle or anything, so your actors are with all the audience. There's no way that anyone's going to get away without.
It's a great venue. Yeah. We were offered a bigger venue, but we turned down in favour of this one so we could have that.
You're right.
Have that intimacy.
Perfect decision, if you don't mind me saying. Because forgive me, if you plop this in the Coliseum, it wouldn't work.
No, absolutely, definitely not.
Absolutely, I appreciate there's a different city at the moment, but you get the idea.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Audience response has been absolutely positive, hasn't it? I mean, just the day I went, you could tell the room was full of audience energy, which isn't always the case.
No, it's brilliant. It's such a musical as well that it really thrives on the energy of the audience. And once they're enjoying and laughing at the jokes and all the definitions and the sentences, it really helps.
We have so much fun every night.
And also it's a different show every night with different guest spellers.
Different guest spellers,
different definitions
different words,
sentences and words change every night.
So do they really?
Yeah.
Okay, and who is there a list from? Is there an official sanctioned list?
There's a list in the back of the script.
We've made up a few of ourselves, but there's an official list.
Yeah, you are encouraged to make up and for it to be as current as possible. We've got the obligatory 50 Shades of Grey reference in there.
Indeed, that's right. When describing one of your guest spellers from the audience.
Yeah, his favourite book is 50 Shades of Grey, which always generates a massive laugh.
And where the usual word pronouncer is, so we've had all sorts. We've had the Olympics, and you're encouraged to use those words, but to also create your own and make it as topical as possible. Mm-hmm. So, and we've been overwhelmed by the response. I mean, last year, if we had 35 in our audience, we would count that as a fantastic day. Now we're pushing, 100. Over 100 is.
And we had Anthony Rapp in last week.
Did you now?
As a guest speller, which was brilliant. We got him up to spell lease.
Yes.
with the definition.
Yeah.
The sentence was, how are you going to pay? How are you going to pay? How are you going to pay at last year's lease? Which I think
he cringed a little bit.
He did cringe,
but he was very up for it. And
did the audience get the
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. There was quite a gasp amongst them when they realised who was just sat amongst them. He was very, very kind.
It was brilliant. And afterwards, he came and talked to us, and he just said about how we got the balance right between the hilarity and the real characters. And he said, we definitely there was a lot of heart to it, and for us to hear that was amazing.
From somebody
because
who knows what they're talking about. And
we've been there and done that.
Yeah,
definitely.
And we thoroughly recommend his show as well.
Oh yeah, he's got a one-man show called Without You at the Fringe this year, which is phenomenal.
Absolutely wonderful.
Piece.
Very, very moving.
But no, so that was amazing, and I think just to have comments from other people to say it's really funny, but it's also really heartfelt, and you go away with like a warm, fuzzy feeling, and that's
but it's the true stories that linger.
That's what we were going. Yeah,
it really is.
That's what we were going for.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's so lovely to have people enjoy it.
Yeah,
there are some audience favourites now, aren't there? I mean, forgive me, Leaf Honeybear was pretty much
Leaf and Barfy.
Yeah, everyone loves Barfy. Definitely.
Although I think pretty much everybody's been mentioned in reviews now. In the different reviews,
Well, you haven't let any of the characters not have their time, because there's one or two characters are slightly more underwritten, shall we say, than one or two of the others.
I think Marcy there could be more to Marcy, but then obviously she has that great song with how she speaks 6 languages and does the piano Mozart piece and all the dancing. So,
but that song is the thing that fills her out, because up to that point, she's the worm that turns in a way, obviously.
Yeah,
but
no,
she turns unusually away from success, if you want to put it that way. Splendid. For me, it was absolutely a 5-star show. There's no doubt.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to say it was better than London, and that's not just flannel. That's absolutely true. It worked at every level. From top, the subtleties came out, and that business I was talking about between watching and engaging, absolute engagement. So my question, therefore, is: we know the audiences have liked it, and we know the reviewers have liked it. What have people been saying about you?
Wow! I mean, there's been some absolutely lovely reviews, and we've been blessed to have so many different reviewers come see it, because in such a competitive environment, having some great quotes to throw around is
everything. A must see.
Oh yeah, the stage gave a must see on the second day, which was unexpected and amazing. Elaine Page recommended us on her Sunday show on Radio 2, which was nice. I think a lot of people are just interested in the company and Patch of Blue. Who are we? What are we doing next? What have we done?
So what are you doing next?
Well,
what's your website?
We're kind
www.patchofbluetheatre.co.uk.
And that's the British stroke French spelling of theatre, isn't it?
Yes.
British theatre spelling.
We're going to be having a little break for a bit, because I'm going to Mount View to do the postgraduate directing course, which is really exciting. So I'll be, we'll be relocating to London.
Londonwards from September.
But then we're currently discussing plans for next summer, and hopefully be doing some work in London in the near future. That's the hope.
So let me know in advance when you're coming down or what you're doing, so that I'm very happy to come and chat with you before things happen.
That would be brilliant.
Do a bit of a boost, hopefully.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, it's a cracking show, a 5-star show. Everybody's saying so, and that's not always the case. So, all power to your elbow. Patch of Blue, clearly a company to be paying attention to for the future. It's going to become a bigger patch, I think. May become a blanket. Well, I look forward to speaking to you again, and certainly seeing you in Edinburgh next year. I look forward to seeing what you sort of pull out of the bag. Bigger and better and bolder, but still intimate. That's what I want to hear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Musical Talk. Well, there we are. That was Alex Howarth and Caroline McCaffrey, and that really was a 5-star show. It just couldn't really have been better. And as I said in that interview, it was better than the London production. And I enjoyed the London production immensely. But this had an extra edge. It was so much more intimate. It was so much more all-encompassing in its vivacity. As I said on Twitter, where, as you know, the number of letters you can use is limited, the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee at Sea Venue has a long title, so a short tweet. 5 stars, just superb. And do go along to www.patchofbluetheatre, fringe.co.uk to find out more about that company. Well, from one 5-star show to another. We're now going to be talking to Christian Butterworth, who was the man behind the new production of Dougal Irvin's Departure Lounge, another 5-star show. And I hope you enjoy this discussion, which also includes David Kingsmill. Musical Talk.
So I'm Christian. I am the producer for Inset Theatre, and we're producing Departure Lounge at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this year.
Now, Departure Lounge is, well, I'd say it was a tried and tested Fringe favourite, really, isn't it? Dougal Irvin brought it up a few years ago.
Yep.
It's been massively successful pretty much everywhere. It was down in the Waterloo Theatre, I think, last year or early this year. But you're an independent company. You're not connected with Dougal professionally, are you? Although he's given you his blessing, I know.
And that's basically, the show started in 2005 and then 2008 at the Fringe. And then it's done Waterloo East in London, and then it did Chicago and New York, all under Dougal's sort of work. That's him going there, being the supervisor on those parts of the shows. And then we approached him late last year and asked to get the rights to do it, the first sort of semi-professional, professional production in the UK. So we've been licensed for that. So even though Dougal's not directly involved, he has been up and he's come here for workshops with us. He's sort of come to give us tips on the music and the guitarist and things, so he's really helped.
Oh, he has actually sort of
so he has been
physical backing, if you pardon the expression.
So we had so when the show started in February at the Unity Theatre in Liverpool, so we did a 4-night run there, and that's what we've transferred from. So sort of Christmas time he came up and did a weekend workshop with us here for the day. So we showed him what we'd done already and just all the little tips and things he's learned from the past sort of like 6 productions off it, and little things, like little bits of the music that he changed and things. So it's really useful and really helpful actually.
It's also interesting how Dougal's developing his own work as it goes, funnily enough, because I mean, at that time he was thinking development of In Touch, which was the musical he was doing down at the Bridewell Theatre. So the challenges, what were the challenges of putting on Departure Lounge for you?
I think the biggest one is we're a new company and we've done small scale theatre before, into like hiring the theatre out, but never the Fringe. I think me and Laura, my co-producer, we came up last year for a day and saw a couple of shows.
A day?
Yeah, and we've had to put the show on off the back of that.
That's quite a challenge.
I don't think we've done too badly.
No, the show's excellent, but there are a lot of pitfalls in Edinburgh which it's easy to fall into if you're not looking.
Yeah, well, we've had excellent PR manager, and the director and musical director both done many shows at Edinburgh Fringe before, so that's really helpful to have those on board. But I think the biggest challenge, well, it's not really a challenge, it's the fact that we're all students or graduates as a company, so it's an experience for us all doing a long run show. I think the longest we've ever done as the cast have ever done is like 4 nights.
Oh right.
At university, and then to try and move that onto a
long run, really,
12 shows, 13 if you include the dress rehearsal. All little things like that. So rather than just starting straight away, we decided to pay for a dress rehearsal and things just to try and get the show as best as it can be. Also, one of the biggest challenges as well, because the show is already staged in quite a big studio theatre in Liverpool, trying to move it into the Studio Augustins, which is, well, it has a big buttress in the wall and there's poles and things, so we had to re-rehearse the entire show to make it fit.
It's a very odd shaped space, that one, isn't it? Because as you say, there's a sticking out wall right in the middle of it, which we saw Armada there in the same venue, and
yes,
they used it to suggest rooms and compartments, which is harder to do when you're in an airport.
And you have the downside of also having a pole slap bang in the middle of centre stage at the front of the stage, which actually you ended up using.
Yeah, our lads aren't really shy about things. They will use the pole and they'll enjoy using it at the same time.
Oh, good.
I've seen them on the mile. They aren't shy at all, are they?
No.
When they go up the mile, they wear kilts, which of course is not part of the show. And indeed, I think on one of the few sunny afternoons we've had in the last week, I walked past and they were all lying on the floor sunbathing topless. Yeah. And drawing a great deal of attention, I couldn't help but notice.
That's something we suggested. That's just the lads themselves wanting to sell the show, and they just and they got out there and they just did a really amazing job, sort of. Well,
with a show like this, what do you think has actually sold it? Because obviously we were there. It was an almost, if not sold out.
It's pretty much full.
Yeah, I think it must have been a sold out night. How much of that do you think is the reputation of the show, and how much of it do you think is actually graft on with the company's part on the mile?
It's been an interesting one. So, like the start of last week when we turned up, we were out flyering every day to pick up audience numbers, and as sort of the weeks the weeks progressed. We've not necessarily stopped doing the promo, but it's sort of quietened down a little bit, but we're still seeing the same audience numbers.
You've got the momentum going already, really.
Yeah. And I think there is a lot of following to the show, because it was obviously a Fringe favourite when it was here first time round, and it's had such following in London, and it's got this cast recording. So I think there is already a buzz about the show. But I think
you're dealing with a successful show, which helps bring its own audience, of course.
I think as well what's really helped is we've brought a completely fresh look to the show as well. It has been reworked quite a lot for our company, sort of the way the guys are moving about, the choreography. It is a very energetic show, which I think sold it really well. Also, the promo on the mile with the lads sort of being lads has really helped as well. I think it is all about drawing attention to yourself and making your presence known, and I think we've done quite well at that.
As a show, it's quite interesting though, isn't it? Because myself and David and another friend of mine called David, because I've only got a very small brain and I can only deal with one name at a time. The other David loves musical theatre, but he's not a devotee, and he's a very gentle man. So he wanted to see the show because he was aware of it, and it was a hit previously. So, all these things you were talking about. But when the show started, he said to me afterwards, he was a bit worried because it's quite laddish to begin with. In fact, it's quite laddish all the way through. And it's easy, I think, if you give it a very cursory look, to think, actually, this is just 4 lads being horrible and vulgar in an airport in Spain. But of course, it very quickly, that belies the truth, because it very quickly becomes apparent that actually we're talking about the emotional underpinning of each of these characters. There's a lot more sensitivity going on, and in fact, whilst there's a great deal of facade going on as well, because there's insecurities aplenty. So in fact, it talks about the truth of teenage and youthful insecurities and the nature of friendship, and how that all transmutes as you finish one phase and go into another. I mean, that's overtly stated that they're in the departure lounge of life as they finish school and go into university. And so within about 10 minutes, he said he was completely sucked into the whole thing, because he realised it was talking about truths that we've all been through, even if we haven't necessarily been sick in a departure lounge in a Spanish airport. I know I haven't. So actually, I think it's got a great draw beyond the laddishness. Does that present you with a problem, though? Because how do you... I mean, the lads who are in it are quite laddish, at least in their public performances on stage and up the... they're a bit posy in some senses when they're on the mile. How do you actually get across the fact that this is about truth, or has that not to be? That doesn't seem to be a problem.
I don't think it's.
You said long-windedly.
So obviously there is quite a lot of pathos in the show. It is really, there is that. It's a really touching story to it, but it does have that very much laddish quality to it, and that's the first impression you get. I mean, the Brits on Tour, the first song.
Yes.
If the first thing the audience is going to see the show, and it's that's going to make it or break it for them.
Yeah.
But I think, like I said, within the first 10 minutes, the story starts coming out and things, and it is difficult to try and sell that to people or get people to understand that it's not just 4 lads bouncing around on stage with a beach ball and making crude jokes. It is difficult to try and get people to understand that there is this sort of story to it. But I think it is a case of that first couple of performances, when the audience start to see that, and it does start to sort of filter through that there is actually a touching story to it, which I think has been picked out in quite a lot of our reviews as well, where it isn't just a laddish quality, there is that backbone to the story as well.
Do you spot something in the audience? Do you spot the moment when the audience sort of realises what's happening? Can you detect anything like that? Or?
Yeah, I think from like The Secret Part 1, Jordan's first song, I think that's when you sort of see the audience stop, rather than laughing at what's going on, to sort of pay more attention and sort of, sit back a bit and be a bit more comfortable with the material, because it's not just an offensive show.
The depths are starting to be uncovered, and yes, because it does. It's layer upon layer upon layer, and into relationships.
I think as well the story is very topical for quite a lot of the audience we're targeting. We tried to target sort of 16 plus, and it is like university, leaving sixth form, going to university. Everyone has this holiday, so I think a lot of people can relate to it, and they can understand sort of the emotional turmoil within the show.
I'm 112 and I also did the post A-levels holidays, so it's I can remember that. My memory's still intact, so yes, you're right. I mean, although it feels very young and very vibrant and very youthful, the truths it's discussing, I think, are universal, actually. Yeah. Unless you're 10. I mean, well, you haven't got there yet. Let's talk about music. Very intensive guitar work for the 2 people doing it, who were absolutely fantastic. We were both discussing this earlier, weren't we? What challenges have they had to face, apart from sore fingers?
Learning the show in a week. Well, so basically, when we did the Liverpool show, we had 2 guitarists who were third-year graduates, and obviously their work commitments, they couldn't commit to going to Edinburgh with us.
No.
So we did find the new guitarists, and they had the music, but they came in, so they'd had the music beforehand, but because the way the show's cued and the way the music works in the show and all the pauses, all the little things we've added in which aren't scored, they came into the re-rehearse week, which was just 6 days, and learnt it from there, and they've been amazing.
They have.
You can't fault them. They've, again, learned the music so quickly, carrying guitars around all day. We come into Edinburgh about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're here right through till 1 in the morning. They're doing promo slots every day. I think 3 occasions now after Spanish hospitality, one of the guitar strings has gone because it's just being played so hard, sort of thing. But everything about it, I think the biggest thing for guitarists and the biggest praise is just how well they fit in with all the cast, and they understand the show, they understand the music, and they understand where the guy's trying to go with it and where the director's trying to go. And the MD as well has been brilliant with that as well.
I don't think any of us would realise they were a late graft onto the production.
No, not at all.
They look like they've been with it for ages.
But it just shows professionalism, sort of thing. They've come in, they've learnt the music, and
as you say, all the dramatic pauses and stuff business.
Because a lot of things are, they're waiting for the applause, they're waiting for the cast to decide they're ready to carry on with the music. So it's just the case, they're just on it. I think that's the only way to describe it. They just know what needs to be done, and everything they do is just delivered with such professionalism, which is brilliant.
How did you go about finding them? Because obviously you need 2 damn good guitarists to play this show.
And 2 guitarists who can know how to work with each other as well.
Yeah.
Because, forgive me, it's a real symbiosis.
It is.
The sound comes out as a united sound, even though they're doing different things.
Well, I think, the company, Instep, we are all graduates or current students at LIPA in Liverpool. Yep. But, so they're found from LIPA, so everyone working on the show is from LIPA, so it's...
Oh, okay.
Again, it's not, with a place like that, it's not hard to find the talent you need, but it's finding the talent with the commitment, and they have committed. They've come up for 2 weeks. Our guitar 2, Kobe, he flew over from Switzerland.
Oh, really?
Because he was home for summer. So there is a lot of commitment involved, and I think it shows with all of us from being from the same university, we all have that same drive to produce something that of high quality. So we all work as if it was a set show or something we want everyone to enjoy. So I think.
I've got to ask you this question about pacing, because obviously you're a late night show. You think about Edinburgh, there's shows from 11 o'clock in the morning, and then one show's out, 10 minutes later there's another show in, all the way through. You're one of the last shows of the evening, in a sense, sort of 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, up to midnight. You've been out on the mile, or your colleagues have all been out on the mile. How do you, as a producer, maintain the health and sort of integrity of your colleagues who are actually performing musically and on stage?
I think
so they're fit to do a show at the end of the day, essentially.
Well, I think the biggest thing we faced when we came up here was the 10:30 slot, because we chose to bring the show here a little bit later than everyone else planned their shows and things. But we took it because everyone said, the slot will be fine. But then,
it's a great late night show. It's a very good show to finish a day.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it is exactly how do you promo? Because we live quite far out as well, about 20-30 minutes on the bus out. So how do you get in, promo, bring all your stuff in, and then do a show?
Yeah.
But we've done it quite staggered, so it's all...
Stagger is the word, right?
So we usually start about 3 o'clock, and we do an hour and a half, 2 hours of flying or laying on the mile, just getting attention. But regularly we'll have breaks, and but not 15. We'll have a good 2 hour, hour and a half, 2 hour break, and the cast just go sit in a pub and just chill out and have sort of time for themselves.
Let's just stop that for a second. You find them, you help them relax by inviting them to sit in a pub for 2 hours.
They don't drink though. They are very very well behaved.
They're good professionals. Good, I was going to say, but that could be a recipe for disaster. I don't know the name of the show, so I can say this legitimately. I heard someone walk on the other day, and I was going into another show, and I heard genuine concern from some techie people because one of the actors in a show that was about to start somewhere had turned up smashed. But as long as that hasn't happened to you, you're fine. Exactly. It was a different venue, by the way.
But as well, the musical director has hammered it into the cast and us to make sure that they always do a really sort of good 10-15 minute vocal warm up and things, and
a physical warm up, I guess.
Yes.
As you say, there's leaping around each other and bouncing off chairs.
Yeah.
And pole work, as you say.
No, it's very well. It is very rehearsed sort of thing. They know exactly what they're doing. some nights there's a little bit of variation, they'll try something different. But yeah, it is all about their health and things, and I think for the first time they've done a 12-show run, hats off to them. It's been amazing how they've managed to cope, and on 11th show tonight, and they're still smiling, fighting fit mostly. So yeah.
Let's talk about how the audiences are taking it. It was very lively the night we went. Real positivity in the audience, and that must be pleasing for the cast.
9 times out of 10, audience love it. Standing ovations, brilliant. Some nights, we might have sold the show to the wrong audience sort of category.
It's demographic favour, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. So the other night we had quite a dead audience. Through no fault of our own, we don't think it was the same show.
You don't vet them.
But you can't sort of monitor it. It's so again, it maybe makes us a little bit downhearted. Like, did the audience? What did we do differently, or why didn't the audience enjoy it? But then come back the next day, smile on our faces, get into the venue. Next audience come in, full house, absolutely loving it, standing ovation again. So it just sort of shows that it is two sides. Some audience are just going to hate it, or not hate it, but aren't going to either find the pathos or find the attraction to it that others do. We've only had a couple of walkouts.
You've actually had a couple of walkouts?
Yeah. Mainly, 2 reasons. One, from the heat from the venue, because the venue is very...
Yeah, it was...
Welcome to Edinburgh 2012.
Right.
We've all lost weight, it's marvellous.
And a couple of people who've just sort of maybe come to the show and not realise what the show actually is.
And it's just totally different from what you're expecting.
Yeah. I mean, we try to sell the show as well as we can on our flyers and our promo. We say it's 16 plus and things, but still you can never decide until you get there if you're going to enjoy it. Yeah, 9 times out of 10 the audience has been fantastic, and again really supportive. Like, our Twitter feed after every show is just positive praise sort of thing, say, well done, loved it, coming back next couple of nights and things. So that's a big boost to us as well. It sort of makes what we're doing worthwhile. I think that's, again, keeps the energy going for the cast, and makes it worthwhile.
From our point of view, we discussed it after the show, and we thought it was absolutely a 5-star show.
Yeah.
Exhilaratingly buoyant, I thought, to be honest.
Definitely.
Would you not say? Yeah, absolutely. It made me tired and alive at the same time. I was shocked. We'll write that down for you if that's going to be any good to you. I mean, I know you're at the end of your run now. But
that'd be brilliant. Just nice to have a good archive.
Nice to put it on the website as well. No, we'd had a good evening that evening.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it was because I also saw the annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. I can never remember the title, but and that was also a cracking show. So I was having a marvellous evening. Thank you very much indeed. How are the audiences taking it? You've said that it's very buoyant, but how are the reviewers taking it? Because you've been getting stars plenty, haven't you?
Yeah, so audience reviews on average are 5 stars, above 5 stars, they love it. Reviewers averaging 4 stars. We've had 1 3-star review, which is a little bit disconcerting, because if you read the review...
Did the text not match the stars, by any chance?
Pardon?
Did what they were saying in the text not actually match the number of stars?
No.
There's a lot of that happening this year.
So
a lot of people are saying it doesn't seem to tally.
We got given 3 stars by a certain reviewer, and the first 2 paragraphs of his review are basically telling us how we've got a homophobic show, it's all, gay this, gay that, and it's, just crude and rude. However, he just seems to go on to contradict himself throughout the review. It's commenting on how amazing the cast are, how good the guitarists are, how nice the story unfolds. And it's just like he's written the review in just prose and not reviewed what he's actually written, giving it its star rating. And it's a little bit, disheartening to think that someone, when everyone else is giving the show a certain amount of stars and things, and because I think the idea of reviewing is meant to be impartial. You're meant to review the show, not personal opinions, maybe. And if you read the first part of this interview, the review,
there's a little bit of a political diatribe, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would like to say on the record, by the way, that it is not a homophobic show. If anything, it is about the journey away from homophobia.
Yeah, I think they've completely missed the point.
Yes, I should say. Did they stay to the end? Because that feels to me like...
They did stay to the end, and it's really just the review is very contradictory of itself, but we've had about 6 reviews, all 4 or 5 star, and that's been the one blip on the radar. But
for what it's worth, virtually every company I've spoken to, and I include my own performance in this, has had a review that has been written by somebody who doesn't know how to write a review.
Or know what they've seen.
Or know what they've seen.
There's a lot of misunderstanding of text going on.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're not alone in that.
Also, the massive variance between the stars is a common phenomenon. People are getting anything from 2 to 5, it seems to be spread. And then when you read the text and compare it to the number of stars, sometimes it's absolutely a disconnect. So.
There's one publication where the reviewer writes the review and the editor assigns it a star rating.
Yes, I've heard that, funny enough, but we won't say anymore.
I think with Edinburgh as well, the way I've sort of seen it from my first time here is, as soon as Edinburgh starts, everyone becomes a reviewer. Not necessarily who's reviewing, who reviews constantly throughout the year. People come up and just like, I'm going to review for this week.
So they are recruited. Some of the bigger reviewing houses are recruiting people, but they are necessary. Not that you need experience, but you do need to understand what you're seeing. As well, presumably, with Edinburgh, the editors just don't have the same amount of time to review the reviews as much as they would normally. But I mean, like I said, 9 times out of 10, the reviews we've got are just brilliant, and hats off to the cast. Well, you've got a top-notch show. You've got a top-notch cast. I think, frankly, it's a top-notch everything, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, absolutely agreed.
The show is about to finish, but the company you said was Instep.
Yeah.
Do you have a website?
We do. It's www.
That's easy for you to say.
insteptheatre.co.uk. And on that, it's just got links to our previous shows, and it'll be what we're doing next. We're meeting, me and my co-producer are meeting up next week to just talk about what's going to happen next. There is potential. We've had a couple of offers to take the show on a small tour.
Fabulous.
Just to try and get it around some more university towns and just get, again, I think it's the biggest thing is getting the material known by more people, because it is such brilliant material, and it'd be a shame to people to not know about it.
Dougal Irvine is one of our foremost up-and-coming musical writers, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, he is just brilliant stuff. Again, it's all about the support he gives us. Like the other day, he just called the cast on the first night to be like, guys, good luck tonight. It just...
As long as there wasn't a solicitor's writ the next morning, you've done well.
I think the biggest thing, he cares about what he's written, and he wants everything he's written to be the best quality it can be. And I think, hopefully, he thinks Instep are doing that, because our values as a company is we produce new musical theatre, and we try and make everything as professional as we can do. And hopefully, I think you've seen that. You succeed.
You have nothing to worry about there. So go to the website, see what's going on, perhaps catch Departure Lounge around the country if that's possible, and if not, then see what else is coming up. So I hope that we see you again next year, Christian.
Thank you very much.
I have to say, with this track record, you better be good, but I'm sure you will be. I have every faith. You're listening to Musical Talk. Well, there you heard David Kingsmill and myself talking to Christian Butterworth behind that new production of Dougal Irvine's Departure Lounge, which I think in some ways can be described as a modern classic. It's the ideal show for Edinburgh, it's a perfect one-act show, and it's very British in tone, I must say. It's a good example of a good modern British musical, and it hasn't lost any of its edge in the years since it was written. Dougal Irvine, one of our most impressive new young musical writers, and we'll be hearing more from him in an exclusive interview about his latest show, In Touch the Musical, which also premiered in Edinburgh a few years ago, in a later edition of Musical Talk, so do stay tuned for that. And as I said, that was another 5-star show. Exhilaratingly buoyant, it made me both tired and alive at the same time. And as I said on Twitter, Departure Lounge at Paradise in St Augustine's, the venue, it's a 5-star new independent production, the perfect Ed Fringe show. The guitarists alone deserve medals. Fab. And incidentally, if you'd like to follow Musical Talk or me on Twitter, you can do so. There's the Musical Talk Twitter feed, and there's me at Musical Talk Thos. So why not come along and follow Musical Talk, and indeed, if you're so minded, me. Now, the next show we're going to be talking about is a huge contrast and yet very similar. Similar because it's yet another 5-star show at this year's Edinburgh Fringe, but very different in what might be termed class. Now, Departure Lounge, as we discussed, is quite laddish. It's quite rough around the edges, or at least the characters are. The show itself is a highly polished jewel, but the characters themselves are, as indeed one of them questions in the text of the musical, sort of louts. The next show couldn't be more different on that front, because it's called The Two Most Perfect Things, and it's a musical version of the lives of Noel Coward and Ivor Novello, who are still two of Britain's most successful musical theatre composers. And whereas Departure Lounge had 4 young men in their holiday gear, t-shirts and shorts for the most part, The Two Most Perfect Things starts with 2 gentlemen in perfect interwar dinner suits and 2 fabulous female singers in wonderful ball gowns in the most splendid Art Deco set. A marvellous piece of simple but delightful set design, something we don't talk about nearly enough on Musical Talk. But let's talk to one of the devisers of the show, and indeed the musical director and the man who sat at the piano and played all the wonderful music during the show, Stuart Barham. Musical Talk.
Okay, so I'm Stuart Barham, and I'm the co-writer with my friend Adrian Fisher. We've written The Two Most Perfect Things, which is a celebration of the lives of Noel Coward and Ivor Novello, using their words and music. I'm the musical side. I'm also the musical director for the cast, and we're producing it as well. We've just finished doing a month in Hammersmith, in the Riverside Studios in Hammersmith, where we filled the houses, which is always very rewarding. And we're here for the month of August at the Roxy Central, enjoying ourselves, I have to say. The audiences seem to be loving it. I don't know if that's surprising or not, but we're very chuffed that they are. It's been a project for about 6 years, where Adrian had the idea of putting the 2 lives together. Because they ran at the same era, Noel Coward, Ivor Novello. Ivor Novello is slightly older than Noel Coward.
1893, I think.
1893. And Noel Coward, as he keeps telling us,
Yes.
is as old as the century. So he was born in 1900. And they were great friends and colleagues. And they, at times, suffered each other.
Yes, there's a touch of rivalry in their careers.
There was rivalry. Coward having a very caustic tongue, and Novello was just a nice person. He was nice to everybody. He didn't really say a bad word, whereas Coward came out with all these caustic remarks about everybody. Actually,
well, it's appropriate to say his career and indeed his attitude is bittersweet, which is ironic.
Bittersweet, absolutely. Well, now you see, up here at the festival, we have to do a 70-minute show. The full length of the show is actually a 2-acter, and we have an interval, and we put bittersweet. We put I'll See You Again in the full length show. We actually have that, but here we've had to reduce it. I mean, you can tell me if it works or not.
It does, absolutely. I mean, so many shows in Edinburgh have to be reduced down from their original length, and the secret is in the editing. But this worked perfectly. There didn't look like there were any obvious gaffer tape-filled joints, if you get my...
We have a marvellous director in Richard Digby-Day, who's a man of the theatre for many years, I have to say. Don't tell him I said that. But and he has great experience, and we're very lucky to have him. He, with Adrian and myself, and also our choreographer, although don't tell her she's called a choreographer, she likes to be called the musical movement person. But all the movement on the stage or any dancing was done by Sheila Irwin.
Actually, there's beautiful fluidity in it as well, because there are set poses for each of the 4 performers when they're in repose, as it were. And in some ways they're very stylistic of the character they're representing. And then there's this immediate fluidity into the song and the vitality, once again, of the pieces being portrayed.
Well, we hope it works, and we hope that we've chosen the music that takes the story along. I mean, all these songs are iconic songs, and placed in the certain place that we put them. I hope that they work to help tell the story.
They underline each nexus point quite nicely, actually. In fact,
that's good.
Can we talk about the selection of the songs?
Yes, indeed.
Both have an enormous songbook, Coward and
Absolutely.
Novello. Too many ever. Both of them.
Well, it's more from Coward. Yeah. More from Coward. In fact, Novello. There's only one songbook of Novello's that's published.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and just the great waltzes and just a small number of songs are actually published.
He suffers for that, I fear.
Sorry?
He suffers for that because
yeah.
Historically he's seen as a little bit... I fear that history hasn't been kind to Ivor Novello because he's slightly seen as a sentimental balladeer, shall we say.
Well, that's true.
But there are more things to him.
Very much so. I mean, he did write comedy songs. In the full version, we do a comedy duet that he wrote for a review, which we had to take out, unfortunately.
What was it called, just for the record?
It was called What Do You Mean?
Oh, jolly good.
And it was about a lady that was on a dance floor that was trying to get off, basically, in modern terms, trying to get off with this man who turned out to be the waiter.
Oh, I
and
see.
so is it,
Yes.
but it's a comic duet. But I found that in the archives at French's publishing house, Samuel French's, in London, and I had the privilege of going down and seeing boxes of music that hasn't seen the daylight for many, many years.
Well, you're a bit of a Novello explorer, aren't you? Isn't that right? That you,
Well, through this I am, yes. In fact, I was brought up on Novello. My mother, sitting on my mother's knee, I used to sing while she played the piano, and Novello was always a favourite.
And she started as well, actually.
Well, exactly, it
You're
was,
in the
funnily
footsteps.
enough. But she adored Novello and went to see his shows and was always keen on telling me, and so we sang Novello's songs. And also, well, actually we sang Coward songs as well. I remember growing up, we all did theatrical things and the family and what have you, and we did Coward songs, performed little Coward songs and what have you. But it seems to have followed me around. Coward, I did a show. Do you remember Derek Nimmo?
Yes,
he used to do, the late Derek Nimmo, sadly, and he did tours of the Far East and the Middle East, and he'd take really good people across. And I did a show for him called Oh Coward,
which is one of the great reviews. Isn't
one
it?
of the great reviews.
It come out at the same time as Cowardly Custard.
Well, the one that we did was an amalgamation of the two.
Oh, I see.
And it was directed by a great lady called Wendy Toy, who
Famous singer.
well, she was a dancer, and she was in the film The Red Shoes, and
yes.
Maura Rashir and Helpman. But so that's Coward. I mean, and then we get to do this, and Adrian comes along with the idea, and he writes little scenes. He does the research on the words, and we both turn it into a play, because there's lots of scenes, long sort of lecture-y type things. You might have noticed there's quite a few dates. Well, there were even more dates.
Oh, right.
And it I didn't want it to be. We didn't want it to be a lecture,
Yes.
as such, and it's very easily done with this sort of thing. There were some imaginary scenes that we've had to cut out, which were funny, like the mothers with Mrs. Worthington. We, in the full-length version, we do the full three choruses of it, interspersed with some bitchiness from the mothers, because they were a little bit like that to one another.
Yes.
Rivals.
Mama Roses.
Exactly. Ambitious for their children. And so here we are. It's been honed and honed and honed. The year before last, we did it at Jermyn Street for a week. And
It's a great success, I think.
well, it was. I mean, it only holds something like 58
It's
seats. or
bijou,
something.
I think
It's
that might
bijou.
be-
That's the word. And although it was that small number of people, we had people queuing up for returns, so that was quite rewarding. Yes. So we filled it every night. Hammersmith was 156, to be precise, 156 seats, and we filled that. And here it's 250 seaters, and the Edinburgh Festival Fringe being what it is, our first performance was something like 10 people in this 250 seater.
Yes.
on the 2nd of August. But luckily they've been going up. Now, you were there today, and you will have seen, I don't know, we had something like 40 people in.
Yes.
And it was a lovely audience today, I have to say. It was very
we wanted to
encouraging.
clap. We wanted to
well,
clap
that's
very
great.
much.
Part of the a criticism that we've been told is the way we've been directed is to push through, and so that the clapping doesn't interfere with the story of it.
Well,
Otherwise,
actually,
it becomes
I think you picked
bitty.
it right, because in a way, I think everyone in the room understood there are time constraints, which is the other thing about Fringe.
Oh, well, that's true, exactly.
And so people knew they couldn't clap every number, but when they knew there was when one of the numbers is done in full, as it were, and there's an obvious breathing point, then you get all the applause for the last few songs wrapped up in one.
Today was lovely. On Sunday, we had a day off yesterday, but on Sunday, we actually wanted to allow or be aware of clapping, of allowing clapping. Not one number was clapped.
Oh, really?
Not one.
But sometimes that's...
And at the end, they loved it.
Yes.
But even, you remember that we do a little dance number, Men About Town, with the top hats
From the
and
Red
canes.
Peppers, yeah.
Well, the Red Peppers. And they, it's an obvious finish. Total silence.
Really?
Total silence.
But some audiences are like that. Some audiences absorb their appreciation and then let it out in one big sort of
Every audience is
appreciative
different.
burp almost.
That's very true. That's very true. But you were a lovely lot today.
You made it
makes
easier for us.
worthwhile.
It was a good show.
Well, you're kind to say that. I'm pleased you say that.
Has it changed much as it's developed over the years? Not just, obviously you've had to edit it for Edinburgh, but are there things which have really worked? Are there any surprise songs? Because I love the mix of the fact there are some of the well-known numbers, Waltz of My Heart, and Talent from Muse and all this. And they should be
Love
there.
Overall, yes.
And they must be there. But there's also other things as well, which I suspect a lot of people won't have heard. So it's a lovely little balance.
Absolutely.
Or not know so well.
I'm just trying to think of one of the ones. There must be something in there that. Mother Came To is a comical one from Novello, which Jack Buchanan sang, and which Darren, I think, does superbly. I must say. I mean, each of them in their own way. They're a contrasting cast. There's Maggie, Margaret Priest. She sings as, and in fact Nova Skip. She has. They both have beautiful voices, very different voices, but beautiful voices, and the music that they've had to sing, I think, suits them. Darren doing Novello, Adrian doing Coward.
He's got that look, by the way, if I may say. He does.
Adrian, they say that a lot of people have said that he's a lookalike. He doesn't see it, and I don't see it. But if everybody wants to think that, I mean, fine.
It's not a lookalike, but he absorbed. There's the personality.
He does the
radiates
character
across.
of it.
Yes.
He does the character of it well. He really does. And he's great. He's an opera singer. He's actually an opera singer and lives in Belgium. Can you believe? We all sort of come from all different parts. He lives in Antwerp, and he's sung at Glyndebourne and sings with the Antwerp Opera and Ghent and what have you. And so he's got the operatic voice when he sings. In the full length version, we do there's what we call, I don't know if it's a good name to do it, but we call it a concert at the end. Instead of the curtain call, we do that little one piece that you saw. We do an 8-minute.
What might be called a medley?
It's a medley of songs which are the big hits that we haven't been able to get into the play, which people want to hear. In fact, when we did it in Jerm Street, it was a 20-minute medley, so we learnt from that. We had to cut it down, and it's been honed from Jerm Street. Before Jerm Street, we actually did it, believe it or not, in Monaco.
Really?
Yes.
Well, the dinner shoes would have come in handy.
Well, the dinner, exactly. It was a dinner theatre, and we did it for an hour with the original material that we'd done with these scenes that Adrian had invented, yes. A lot of scenes that he'd invented, and it went well. And then we got Richard Digby-Day on hand, and he said, cut that, and he went for the factual thing. It was right to do so, and I think we all agree with that, although the scenes that were cut were fun in their own right, but they needed to be cut to get it to what it is.
It's a refocusing. It's not because it was good or bad.
It's a refocusing. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And we didn't want a load of how can I say it politely, rubbish, put in the way of telling the story.
have you spotted anything in your audiences, if you don't mind me saying? Because I got a real sense today that people really wanted the Ivor Novello songs. And in a way, yes, because everyone, I mean, Noel Coward still has currency, let's be honest.
Yes.
And the recordings of him, and indeed others, not that there are enough, but there are, and somehow he still speaks more to the modern age.
The music, yeah. I mean, even we've had youngsters in the audience and teenagers who really, that's not the target audience. No. I wouldn't have thought. But they go out and they feed back to us that they really enjoyed it. They didn't know either of these two men, and they learnt something. And
can't say fairer than that.
And that's great if we can get that music. Ivor Novello, the balladeers, as you say, very romantic.
It's almost
music.
lushly romantic.
It is lush. It is lush. He didn't write those snappy little Mrs. Worthington type numbers. He
not
didn't.
the typewriter.
Exactly, and it did. And I mean, I'll let you into it. Well, it's no secret whatsoever, but Novello never wrote a single word.
He wasn't a lyricist, was he?
He wasn't a lyricist. So it's all melody for on his part that made the song. The words alone wouldn't carry on their own. It's what he did with those words melodically that make the song. Whereas Coward, you could see, there's printed books of Coward's lyrics without the music, and they still stand up.
Is that Barry Day's collected?
He has, yes, absolutely. And it's great. But Novello is sort of, Radio 3 had, if I may mention Radio 3 on your programme.
Oh, we're very we like Radio 3.
Radio 3 had Novello as Composer of the Week, just either last week or the week before.
Oh, I missed that. What a great pity.
We were on Radio 3 at 5 o'clock, and the proms, there was an Ivor Novello proms just recently.
Yes, I spotted that.
With Simon, what's his name? I always muddle him up with Simon Callow.
Yes.
Not Cowell, but Callow.
Yes,
don't tell him I say that. But, yes, there is. Of course.
There does seem to be a bit of an Ivor revival bubbling up, because there's talk of a new show, or talk of a revival of a show.
There is a talk of a new show, but nothing's happening with it as far as we are aware at the moment. There were certain bits of things we weren't allowed to do, we weren't given the rights to do, because of this new show that they might be using.
Hoving into view, as it were.
Exactly,
yes, right.
exactly. And that's another thing, of course. I mean, the interesting thing is putting these shows together, getting the copyright, the rights to do them. And French's has been really, really kind to us. They've been very good to us and let us use this, because they look after both Coward and Novello, actually. And so when they came to see it in London, they then said, well, okay, you can do this. One or two restrictions, but of course. But they've been very kind to us. And I think with the the Jubilee and the Olympics and things, it's all getting very British, and nostalgia is taking a little bit of force as well, because so Novello is,
he's almost built-in nostalgia, even when he was contemporary.
Absolutely.
Yes, I mean, I always feel that's slightly to his disadvantage in a sense, because Noel Coward was modern in the 20th century, certainly the first half of the 20th century, meaning of that sense.
Absolutely.
And that has stayed with us as a very energetic dynamic in modern culture, whereas that slightly looking back from that period can be seen as being slightly soupy. It's a great sadness to me that most of the Ivor Novello recordings of his songs are from an era which is pre-high fidelity. So there's an element of...
you hear them now. You hear the original, on the records.
Ollie
and they're all,
Gilbert's and-
absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're all squeaky, and that squeaky sort of sound. And
Exactly. And that's such a pity. And this is absolutely a great compliment in some senses, although I'm quite well up on Ivor Novello, at least on an amateur basis. Some of those Ivor Novello songs sang to me freshly today, as though they were newly minted, because I hadn't ever really heard them as clearly, or as with the fidelity of the singing really helped. But actually, suddenly we were getting these words, and they meant something. It wasn't just music and words, it was a song, and it was from the heart, and I'm not often sentimentally struck.
Well, that's nice you say that.
I was genuinely, it caught me up in a feeling.
Well, that's nice you say that, The prom happened, and did you see the prom?
No, I
Did you see
missed
that
it
prom?
again, I'm afraid.
I didn't see it, but the feedback I've had from it is that it was just sung with no feeling now, sadly, which is a shame, because these songs should have feeling.
All songs should, even the coward songs.
Absolutely.
Even the
I mean,
almost
there's
flip coward songs are to be done. Flip.
The
and tongue-in-cheek to a
words,
degree,
the words are the most important thing. Always, as a musical director, I mean, I've done West End shows and tours and all sorts of things. It's always the one thing to get the meaning from the words and to get the music. Why did the composer write those swoops or leaps or just stepwise? Why did that melody go to those words? And the words, good composers, they just work. The melody works, doesn't get in the way of the lyrics. And the lyrics are the main thing.
Well, that's how people engage with music. So often, particularly with a song, you go in through the songs. It's also a way of navigating the melody, which sometimes isn't as plain or as clear as it.
Well, that's very true.
That people
and it's
hearing.
also, I mean, most of them I've put my own arrangements on to them, I must admit, which either hindered or helped. I don't know, but I'm not. I just go with what the singer can help me to actually arrange. Does that make sense?
It does, and I'm so glad you said that, because one of the things I was going to say was the fact it was lovely. And some people fall in a trap of, when singing an old coward song in particular, in trying to sing it like it was an old coward singing it.
Oh, well, yes.
And that's fine if you're an old coward, and nobody does it better than Noel Coward in the Noel Coward way. But those songs are bigger than that, and they're stronger than that, and they could be sung by people with all manner of voices.
Absolutely.
And your singers today, including the gentleman actually playing Noel Coward, didn't sing it like Noel Coward would have, and yet those songs were as beautiful and as meaningful as they were meant to be. And your orchestrations also weren't, I'm not going to say hackneyed or tired, they weren't the known orchestrations.
I put my own slant on them.
Yes, but I think, any song that can bear reinterpretation is a song of note. It's a classic song, whatever that slightly hackneyed term means, but it means it's not just for the moment. And I think that you, as musical director, as accompanist and a player on the day, and your singers have together fused to make a beautifully fresh sound with classic material, which makes it sound like an album. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, that's nice you say that. That's it sort of works, and
for me,
that's great.
That's great. Absolutely did.
That's great. There's one song, Someday My Heart Will Awake, that Nova sings. That is a waltz,
which is an Ivor Novello,
and it's an Ivor Novello number.
Nova's Novella number.
Sorry, what you say?
Nova's Novella number.
Nova's Novella number.
Not easy for everyone to say that.
Exactly. And that's a case in point, because I did the first part of the main chorus of that. For those technically minded, I did them in two. I played in 2/4, and she did triplets above it. So although it's a waltz above it, to give that feel of laziness, because it's really, she's singing about she's dreaming about her, and it's all very lazy, but to give that feeling, it's languid. That's the word I'm looking for. Well done.
It's very good. I'm enjoying this. It's very good.
And it just works, and then I go into the waltz halfway through it, but it seems to work.
A thumbs up for using the verses as well as the choruses.
And the verses, well, of course,
they're so often missed.
That's true. I mean, we've used several verses, not every verse.
No, we haven't.
And it's an art to sing a verse as well, because sometimes they don't work if you just sing solidly note for note. And you see something like another Novello song, the one we mentioned earlier, And Mother Came Too. The way Darren does it, he plays with the rhythm of it, plays with it, although it's steadily going on underneath. He plays with the tune, plays with it, and it works. Half said, half sung,
Well, also, actually, I really enjoy the interpretation of that anyway, because the whole thing, it's one of those very unusual songs that revolves around a pun, partly. I mean, the resolution is a very clever pun.
Yes.
And Her Mother Comes Too.
Well, yes. Yeah. Well, it is, yes.
And he plays it to perfection, though, because he, as you say, he sings it and speaks it but he performs it. He's an actor singing it, and that really makes that song work. Whereas, this is no names, no pack drill, but I went to see a version of A Funny Thing Happened on the way to the Forum earlier this week, and to get it down to time, they'd taken out the entire score, which is a great pity.
What?
Yes, except for Comedy Tonight. But they sang it as a chorus number, and they therefore didn't set up the lyric, and she plays Medea later this week. They just sang it as though they were singing off a song sheet. So it didn't mean anything at all.
See,
it was very great pity from lack of interpretation. The complete antithesis of this is what we've seen today, where everything has been thought about and interpreted, and done so with clarity and wisdom. Forgive me, I feel I'm laying it on with a trowel, but
I think we've got a fan in you, haven't we?
I am rather keen, I must say.
Oh, that's lovely. I really appreciate that.
The performance is so much of everything, isn't it? Because it is. It isn't just dragging the words
and getting actors who these days the old thing where the actors have to do everything. Actors have to sing and dance and move and
wheel on the piano themselves.
Absolutely. No, I'm pleased that you think it works because, we think it works. And we've got, as I say, this wonderful cast that make it work. Well, there's some other shows on here I haven't seen, actually. It intrigues me. I want to see. I think it's Little Night Music. I'm not sure if it's the whole length of the show. They've cut that down.
Oh, really? So even Little Night Music?
Even Little Night Music. I might be doing it an injustice, but seeing as everything has to come down to... We were... Normally it's an hour, and we were allowed the 70-minute slot, because we were... even before we cut it, they said we could have 70 minutes off very sensibly. But we're very pleased to be up here. It's a learning curve, I have to say.
Yes.
Because it's a bit of a maze. All these 2,000 shows or something up here.
Yeah, and there's no way you can see everything. I spend my time running from one show to another, so you have to pick what you want to see.
Oh, absolutely.
And you will see brilliant stuff and awful stuff. But that is the great thing about that. The wonderful thing about
it is
Fringe.
the wonderful thing. Actually,
you can take.
We've seen some really good stuff, but we've seen some stuff that we think, wait a minute,
that could have been done differently.
Yeah. But it's lovely if somebody like your good self says that we're worth 5 stars.
You are. Well, I was about to get onto that. I was going to say that you are a 5-star show, and you are a highly polished gem. And I mean that in all the meanings of that sentence, because it's not just a bland descriptive phrase. This feels highly polished, and it is an absolute diamond. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a cracking show.
Well, thank you.
Is it going somewhere further? I must ask.
Well, to be honest with you, we're looking for a producer, and we're in desperate need of a producer, because it does need to have a life.
Yes. Oh, I think so.
And it needs it. I mean, we want to take it on. We would love to do a tour of it. Whatever comes of it, it cannot stop here.
It's a lush show that's relatively cheap.
Well, it is.
Let's
It's relatively cheap.
Yes.
It's myself and Adrian who have been producing it. And we're not producers. I'm a simple piano player, and he's an opera singer,
yes.
and I've never done anything like this before. But if we can't do it again, because it will just bankrupt us, to be honest with you, and that sounds very dramatic.
But there's so much time taken up in production, which you also need to put into performance.
Well, we've had. I tell you, we've had people working around us. The designer. Tim
Beautiful
Reed.
Art Deco set.
And for the full version, we've got the floor, a marbled floor,
really?
And we've got a whole bit of set. We've got a whole set that we couldn't come down, and they've done it for virtually nothing.
Actually,
absolutely.
I noticed your crepe de chine backing turned out to be nylon gauze. I couldn't believe it. When the lights came off, I thought, what a swizz. I was living 1930s culture and glory there.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought, crepe de chine.
Well, you're not supposed to look that close. See, our lighting man, David Cunningham, is a very big name in lighting opera world. He's done theatre, West End theatre as well, and he just knew exactly what to do, teaming up with Richard, the director, and we've just so lucky. And Adrian and I, who are up there as the authors of this piece, and it's a little dream to have it done. We've got this wonderful team around us. We're just so lucky. But we do need a producer to come and take it on. And we talk to offices, and they say yes, they'd like to come and see it. and they don't.
No.
I am assured, actually, and I'm very pleased, there are people coming in this week and next week who've asked for tickets. So that's encouraging.
Yes.
That's very encouraging. So we'll see what happens.
So how can people contact you if they're interested? Is there a website for it?
There is a website, but they could also, they can contact me. My name, Stuart Barham, at yahoo.com. As simple as that.
If you're happy with that going out? That's
yes,
lovely,
I'm very happy with that going out. Stuart Barham at yahoo.com. I might get all sorts of remarks.
Hopefully positive.
Well, but certainly they can do that. And on the website they've got Adrian's email address, which off the top of my head is a fish in B. Because that's Adrian Fisher in Belgium, but it's a fish in B at yahoo.com.
I'll bear that in mind. And not Frank Lester's a laughing, but obviously.
No. And so,
or a sneezing bee.
Or a sneezing bee. But Stuart Barham at yahoo.com is the best one to get hold of me. And that would be great. Anybody that's interested, that is seriously serious enough to want to be able to find the money, put the money up, find the money somehow, has know-how into the theatres. I mean, I've worked in many of the theatres around the country. I've done tours and all sorts of things, and in London. But I've never had to put them together. We just turn up to work and we're paid, That's the thing.
That's what other people do, isn't it?
That's what other people do. And we're the ones that complain when it doesn't go right. But now, now they're complaining to me, and Adrian. No, seriously, we do so want it to go on, and the performers, the actors, they would love to carry on with it and do something with it. But even if they weren't available because they're busy, they have other jobs coming up. It has a life with other actors as well, other singers maybe. I hope not. I hope that isn't the case. They might want another MD, actually. They might want somebody else on the piano. That's always a big possibility. And you know what? I would say it's great.
It needs a new next piece.
Exactly. But new fresh ideas and things. But the piece itself, that's what matters. And getting Novello and Coward's music to the populace again, to the people and to the new generations.
And in the way it should be done as well.
It should be. I mean, they saved London theatres, the Drury Lane. They saved it from closing down.
Which seems an amazing thing to say
absolutely,
now, doesn't it? It seems impossible to believe.
Absolutely. I mean, So
to close, if I may say.
Yes.
Just a cracking show. What will you take away from this show when you finish from Edinburgh, if you don't mind me asking?
Does that mean what will I take away from Edinburgh? No, you said from this show from Edinburgh.
The responses. What have you?
Well, what the connecting Edinburgh Fringe with this show, the audiences that have come, it tells us that there is an audience out there that loves this music, loves that period, and wants to see it.
And was demographically diverse today as well, which was also extremely pleasing.
Yes, it was. But it seems to be like that. I just wish we could get more people in, and it's all down to publicity. And thank you for this.
No, but it's nothing more than the truth.
Well, and much appreciated, really appreciated. But we're very, very pleased with the people that come in. Anybody that comes to see us, we're thrilled.
As they are when they leave.
Well, that's very nice. This is very, very sugary sort of comments. But
I know what you mean. The problem is, it does sound like sometimes one is putting on flannel.
I can see you're meaning it, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
And you, if I can be slightly. Use a rude phrase. You people, say what you mean. You don't put it on if you don't mean it.
I try not to say nasty things about shows I don't like. I just don't speak about them at all.
Right.
But the shows I do like, I like a lot.
Well, thank you.
Stuart, all power to your elbow, as they say, or both elbows when you're playing, obviously. I do hope the show exceeds all expectations, as it does for the audience, for you, over the course of its run in Edinburgh, and that it does have wings and goes on to great success.
Well, lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Musical talk. Well, there we have it. That was Stuart Barham giving us an interesting and in-depth discussion on the challenges and the delights of that fantastic 5-star show, The Two Most Perfect Things, which, of course, as they said straight at the beginning of the show itself, and we repeated in the interview, refers to a comment that Noel Coward made, which was that the two most perfect things were Ivor Novello's profile and his wit. And that show was just simply a highly polished gem. And we have a lot to thank Ivor Novello and Noel Coward for, because between them and their involvement in the British musical theatre and the development of spectacle, particularly Ivor Novello very much the Andrew Lloyd Webber of his day. People talk about the chandelier in The Phantom of the Opera. Well, Sandy Wilson recalls going to see an Ivor Novello show in the 1930s where a volcano erupted on stage, which was a spectacular piece of stagecraft and shouldn't be mistaken for the Noel Coward revival of a show called Volcano, currently in London. But it's through putting on these spectaculars that Ivor Novello and Noel Coward saved the Theatre Royal Drury Lane from being turned into a cinema. I find that incredible, that venerable, fantastic theatre, the oldest operating theatre in London, and indeed I believe in the country, might ever have been considered for conversion into a cinema. And what did I say about the two most perfect things at the Assembly Roxy on Twitter? Well, I called it a classy 5-star show about Noel and Ivor, brackets no surnames needed, close brackets, a tuneful, tasteful treat. Which I'm sure you'll agree is a phrase that actually sounds better if you're saying it in the style of Noel Coward. My dear, it's a tuneful, tasteful treat. It's all in the consonants, you see. We're 3/4 of the way into this episode, and we've had 3 5-star shows. But now, as this themed episode is all about the very best of the Edinburgh Fringe this year, it's time to reveal Musical Talk's Pick of the Fringe 2012. And if you're a regular listener of Musical Talk, and I would hope in all decency that you would be, then you might have heard of this musical already, because we mentioned it in our previews. I didn't know then that it was going to be my pick, but it was so good a show that I went to see it 3 times. I had only planned to see it once, so the other 2 were purely because I enjoyed it so very much. What is this masterpiece? What is this musical that is beyond reproach? What is this most ambitious and splendid of all musical theatre available to be seen at the Edinburgh Fringe this year? I hear you ask. Well, I don't actually, of course, but I'm pretending. Well, I'm glad that you did ask, because I'm going to tell you. It's Newland, the musical. You may remember I spoke in that preview episode about the Edinburgh Fringe to the composers Tom Hiron-Towers, I've got his name right this time, and Grant Martin, the 2 fantastic songwriters and indeed fantastic people behind this show. So let's hear more about Newland, this time it's Edinburgh experiences, again from Tom and Grant as we discuss the Musical Talk Pick of the Fringe 2012. And if that wasn't enough, before and after this interview, they have very kindly allowed Musical Talk to play songs from the live recording of Newland made in Edinburgh to give you a taste of the score of the show. These are 2 of my favourite songs from this particular score, and they're damn catchy.
Surprise! The apprehension of Merle Murphy as a man without whom Ashfall would be overrun without loss to our sheriff, Harvey Garris. Harvey! Have you ever had one of those days when life won't go as planned? You can't get ahead, catch a break, life falls through your hands. You're stuck in reverse and you're falling through the cracks of the week. You're clawing your way to a calling that seems just out of reach. But fate and your friends are at hand, there's no need to despair. No need to hide, not when your destiny comes clear. The future and your path remember, there's still work to do. You have to address every fault, every flaw. We're not giving up, not giving in, not giving back this new frontier. Our journey now is starts right here.
Harvey Garris.
Harvey!
You're not too kind in forgetting my trusty deputy and good friend, Johnny Hart.
Hear ye, hear ye. I'm Grayson Bunting, and I bring with me psychic news.
Now is not the time, stranger.
Then may I bring them like psychic citizens before I partake in the festivities?
You may. Hey, let's find you a drink.
Harvey, can I see you
Oh,
outside?
can it wait till morning?
Nah, it's okay, Mayor. What's up, John?
It's just that what with the whole town having some time, I thought maybe we should release Mr. Fletcher. He has been locked up for hours.
Yeah, I suppose you're right, but I'll tell you something. Mr. Fletcher better learn to keep his hands to himself. Otherwise, it won't just be self-time for me. It'll be a slap from his champion.
We're taking a chance and we're listening to our new novel. It's full steam ahead to a future unknown. We're taking command, taking control, taking responsibility. The possibilities are right here. It starts right here. It starts right here. The course we plan to steer starts right here.
You're listening to Musical Talk.
My name's Thomas Heron Towers. I'm the writer, director, and I also do the sound on the show Newland.
I'm Grant Martin. I'm the musical director and the composer of Newland.
Well, thank you very much indeed, chaps. Now, we met, obviously, before Edinburgh started. For your cases, it was literally 3 or 4 days before you were going to shove everything in the back of the van.
It was about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was right. It was
seemed-
literally a couple of
seemed like
days
6 months
before,
ago.
Yeah.
There was a sense of excitement, trepidation, and possibly nervousness.
A lot of nervousness.
A lot of
But
nervousness.
now, what, we're a week and a half into Edinburgh?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have just seen the show, David and I. We think it's cracking. And you're both smiling, which at least is a good sign. So how is it going for you? How is Newland going?
This is smiling through the tears. No, it's
Your teeth are crying?
Yeah, they're crying. They're crying bad.
No, it's going well. It's going well. Especially the second week, we've had a chance to kind of relax and start to sit into it, see more shows, and just appreciate being here. I think last week was it's manic. It's hectic and it's stressful bringing a show up here. So
Yes.
it takes a while to get into a routine.
So what happened? You got in your cars and you came up with equipment and
I
cast.
was in a van. I was with my dad.
Yeah.
You were driving, you weren't in the back.
Oh
were
no,
you?
no, I wasn't allowed to. I wanted to.
You arrive in Edinburgh. That was just before it opened.
The day before it opened, we split
That
the
was
cast.
the first, I think.
Yeah, we
August
split the
1st.
cast amongst 4 cars. We had a van and we all travelled up 8 hours.
You found your digs, obviously.
Yes.
27 people to a room. I know how that works.
Yes.
But really, it must have been pretty much all hands on deck immediately, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we had to get back up to the venue here. The next day, we had to fly, get our posters sorted out, get installed.
They were printed locally up here.
No, we had them here. We brought them up with us, but we had to distribute them, get them all out.
Yeah.
Which is a day's work.
And you've also not got the smallest set to be getting in either.
No, that was
Simon's face when we opened the van.
Simon's our tech guy at the venue.
Yeah, I think
we opened the back doors of this huge van, and he just looked at me. Okay, all right.
Small family. Of
you're gonna be the trouble then, I guess, for the 3 weeks. I think that was the case.
Yeah,
with all the wood.
Oh, I'm sure they thought we would be.
Yeah, I think that. I think so. Though saying that, however, our get-in is what 10 minutes.
Yeah, we've got it down quite quickly now.
Which is drums, bass guitar, and then our set kind of thing. But then our get out, we're actually quite quick because at that point you've not got test mics.
4 minutes.
And yeah, we've given everyone a job as well. Everyone a task, so they can straight away they get to it and we're out.
So there's a hard-boiled egg waiting for you at the end of it.
Yeah. I hope so.
Well, it's better than having thrown, isn't it? Now, you've got to the venue. How many days did you have before your first performance?
1.
And what did you do in that day? No one ever talks about it.
Oh, that was the tech day.
Yeah.
The first day, well, we was flyering all afternoon. We was poster distributing. We went to a couple of meetings, and then we had 3 hours in the evening to tech.
3 hours now.
3 hours
3
for an
hours.
hour and a half show.
Yeah.
That's a musical with 11 mics.
Yeah.
Well, just simply for those people who don't know, you often have a tech. Well, you usually have a tech and then a dress, at least.
Over a couple of days.
And over those days, which often go late into the night and sometimes all the way through, you also have, and it has to be said, tantrums and difficulties.
Yeah.
To boil all of that down into 3 hours?
3 hours.
Standard Fringe tech is twice the length of your show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that was we did because of the lights, and they hadn't fixed the lights properly to begin with. We got an extra hour to begin on the Sunday. Oh, fireworks!
That was the lights.
Yes, and that's just exploded on us. Yeah. No, we got an extra hour on the Sunday because we were like, look, we need to get in, and they were like, yep, sure, no worries.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, no, actually, it wasn't too bad because the venue doesn't properly open till 1, so we kind of went in at 11 and got ourselves an hour, to kind of go through the show. But
were you happy at the end of that 3 hour tech, or with your extra? Or
No,
were you
I think I sat in the bar for a while afterwards.
Bar or bar? Both.
No, it was. Well, we didn't get to run the show. It took 3 hours just to set lights, just to plot mic levels, and just to do some basic mic positioning and
some
lights.
get-ins and get-outs. Literally, stage off, stage on, stage off, stage off.
So how do you sleep on a night after that when you know that your next
Don't
performance?
sleep.
Yeah.
We have been having because you do the show at night and we finish at 10 o'clock, and then by the time we get back to the house, because we're at least a 40-minute walk. So if you're feeling lazy, you get a cab. But if you do the 40-minute walk, you're then back, but your energy's still up from doing the show, so you don't sleep until 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then we're up early again, talking to the cast with notes, and then we're out flying for 3 hours a day, and then you either decide to go home or you eat out, and then you got your show again. And that's how it's been going every single day.
Every day.
Apart from Sundays, which is technically our day off, but we've still not had a day off.
We have
yet.
meetings on Sundays, so we don't get a day off.
Yeah.
So let's get down to the nuts and bolts of the show. How is it being received by your audience? Is it selling tolerably well?
It's selling reasonably well compared to other shows, which we've found out. I mean, we've averaged in all audiences of about 40, 45. Which we were reasonably happy about. Of course, we'd like to have more, but we was generally happy. But then we're hearing other musicals and new shows are having small audiences of a handful. So
whether that's the Olympics or whether people are just going.
It was
off
blamed on the
musical
Olympics.
it was blamed on the Olympics, but whether that's the case or not, I don't know.
It seems quieter this year than any previous year I've been to the Fringe, though, I have to say.
Yeah.
It depends on who you talk to. Some people seem to think it's not having an effect. One reviewer I spoke to at some point said, no change, but I swear there is.
I mean, on top of that as well, it's a hard sell. It's a brand new musical by people no one knows of. We haven't got a company backing us, so it's quite a hard sell to get people in the seats as well. I think when we start singing on the Royal Mile, we get a very good reception, and then people actually come and take flyers out of our hands.
That's good.
That's the best time if we can get on those stages, or we try and sing around the Royal Mile.
But once they're in, they are appreciating it, are they not?
Yes, we've had a couple of people who will walk out.
Yeah.
But
parents can be so cruel.
Yes.
And I've gone at one point as well. Like, no, I'm done with the show.
But on the whole, generally, it's been a really good, positive feedback. Good response, a lot of good comments. There's a couple of things within the show that we know we need to change, and those are one or two areas that get picked up on. So it's like, good, they're the one or two areas that we're all in agreement. And the rest is generally being received well.
I think it's a case of a lot of people turn up not knowing what it is. It's not an established show, and they go, I like some singing and music, and then they come and see it, and they're like, this wasn't the music and singing I thought, and then they're like, no, I'm done, and they're off. And also, what didn't help is the venue that we're in. I don't know how hot you were.
Hot.
Right, well, we didn't have aircon on the first week, and it was way hotter. And
they had the heating on as well.
And the heating was on. Underfloor heating was on, apparently. They couldn't turn it off. So for the first 3 or 4 performances, it was sweltering in there, and that's an hour and a half show.
But that's true, actually, of everywhere. I was in the C Attic recently in some kind of C3, I think it is, and I lost half a stone. It was marvellous.
Same for C Nova. Actually, it might be worth mentioning for you, while we're on the subject of Newland, there was somebody earlier on in the very day that we are recording this who actually passed out in that theatre.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, they actually had someone apparently carted off in an ambulance. I think that was medically related
To the show.
but probably,
What were they seeing?
probably heat induced as well. And that's no criticism of the space. That is a simple fact that Edinburgh is roasting at the moment.
Yeah, it is surprisingly warm.
Yeah,
but it rains
great.
still.
Yeah.
But it's
warm rain.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at Touchwood, we've only had 2 days of rain.
There's no wood. We're sitting in an entirely
There you
chrome
go,
bar.
I've jinxed it now.
Yeah.
Talking about reception, something which I am genuinely curious about is how do you get on with the fact that you're one of those unlucky shows that has a pair of Eurofighters fly over it every single night for the tattoo?
Oh, you know what?
It's good. It's a marker point. I know if we're on track, if they fly over the same point, or I just speed up.
Thank you, Lel Planes.
But do you find it? Does it detract an audience? Because this is something I very rarely sit in a show and hear them. I've either been in a different, I don't know, underground or somewhere.
it's been
But I haven't been in that many shows this year particularly where I've actually heard them fly over this thus far.
I've got to say, it's all been handled quite professionally.
Well, the cast have been
The cast
fantastic.
are fine, and the audience don't seem to acknowledge it or shuffle.
However,
move.
the first 2 performances, they flew so low to the ground, and I wonder whether
They
there's
were
been complaints because
directly
they're not
over
as close anymore. It was so close. I swear the building was shaking, and people were literally like,
The
something's
cast thought
happening.
they were being bombed.
Yeah, honestly, it was really loud.
Everyone
People
was
carried on. Bless
Yeah.
them, they carried on. They thought they were being bombed, but you know,
Show goes on.
So professional.
too professional.
Well, it is one of the more slightly unnerving experiences of the Fringe, certainly.
Yeah.
Well, the first time I heard it, because I've got a show pretty much every night, or at least pretty much all nights at that time I've been seeing in my show.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard it, I actually thought it was a miscue of a sound effects record.
Oh.
Well, it was a high sound effects show.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, someone's pressed the wrong button on the CV. And they all ignored it. And then I realised they thought it was the planes going.
Well, this is partly why I wondered, is I genuinely don't know what effect it's having on shows at the moment.
No, I mean, I'm wary because I know it's 9 o'clock and they're usually spot on.
Yeah.
So I've normally got my phone there going, oh, I know this is the moment when it happens, and just as soon as I can hear it,
You
I
raised
just
the mic
lift
level
the
up,
mics.
didn't you?
Oh,
Yeah, I spotted that.
Look
Very
at that.
clever, yes.
Thank you very much.
We noticed that.
Years of school for that one.
Where did you go to school? Under an RAF flight?
Never. Yeah, that's what it was. I was like, oh, I can never hear when these things are flying over.
Voice of experience. Now, let's talk about the show. David and I came to see it this evening, and we loved it. For us, we're going to go straight in and say we thought it was a 4-star show.
Cool.
I hope that's something you can do with it. And we'll write all that down and give you a quotation.
Thank you very much.
An hour and a half of denim.
Yes. That's one of our best reviews.
But let's get to the nuts and bolts. It's a fabulous show. It's a brilliant show. It's the best piece of new writing I've seen this year, for me, as far as I'm
thank you very
concerned.
much.
Thank you.
And that's not just flannel because I know you. It is genuinely good. It slightly exceeded my expectations in the sense that I don't mind telling you, but I was a bit worried about cowboys because I'm always worried about cowboys.
Yeah.
Not in my day-to-day living, obviously. Not in West London. But seriously, for me, it didn't immediately. I'm being honest with you. It didn't immediately resonate with me when you were describing it. It sounded exciting as a new piece of writing.
Yeah.
But I was slightly worried about the Wild West approach.
Yep.
I had nothing to worry about. The book is excellent as far as I'm concerned. The story flows very easily. There's no obvious loose ends. But of course, I appreciate I'm seeing a condensed show is I think what I'm trying to say. The score is fantastic and the lyrics are fantastic. So the music is a beautiful kaleidoscope of opportunity, actually, to be honest. It's the songs are I would say, and you can tell me why this is why I'm an idiot, so you can tell me but they seem to be very jazz influenced, lots of interesting tempo, some splendid melodies which hang around. It's very catchy. That's I think on the whole it's extremely catchy. Not obviously the love ballads and things, they're slower, as you might expect. I'm not telling anyone any secrets here. And the lyrics are splendidly intricate on many occasions, nicely, cleverly, so you're not caught up, you're never so caught up in the Fabergé egg filigree nature of it to miss the point of it. So the meaning comes across, but there's also a nice lot of play going on, shall we say?
And it's very accessible.
It's craft on both your fronts.
And very, very accessible craft.
Yeah.
I mean, funnily, I've been humming Newland ever since I walked past you guys on the stage, which I think it was about 4 days ago. And it's just
sticks in people's head.
There's that wonderful line, isn't there, of Merrily We Roll Along, where he says this is absolutely fantastic, but there isn't a tune you can hum. And that's exactly what you've got with Newland. Is you've got this song that you can just wander around and go, da, 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 and it's just, even if you're not quite sure what you're singing, it's stuck at the back of your mind, which is brilliant.
I'm glad we've infected you like that.
Yeah, but I mean that's what you need. You need something where someone can go, this, it's the one that goes like this.
Yeah.
I think if you don't have something like that in your show, that's one bit of catch missed.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I should just say for our listeners that you also did the choreography, which is slightly more disturbing. It was all elbows.
I've been affected by the show. What can I say?
But what it has is the balance is very interesting because the story is serious and it's done lightly. It doesn't mug itself. It doesn't make itself silly. But it knows when it's going to give itself a laugh. It knows when to give itself breathing space, which is actually very important in terms of pacing. So it gives you a kaleidoscope of responses. This is the serious part. This is a lighter part. This is a lighter part again. But we're back to a serious part. There's some fairly cruel stuff in here. There was genuine, without ruining the plot in any way. There was genuine
nastiness.
Well, there was a sense of British clenching during the. I can't call it a rape scene because she's a prostitute and she did agree to have sex with the villain. So it was, in fact, nothing more than the typical transaction she would have gone through. What made it difficult, of course, was the relationship between her and him and what those characters had done and to each other and to people they knew. Without giving too much away. Indeed. There was a certain. Did you feel that in the audience? There was a.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't a Stanley and Blanche kind of. Oh my God, this is horrific. But there was a sense. It was more actually, I think, rather than shock at what was going on, it was more a shock of the fact that it was happening.
And but that's good. That's just a little bit of grit.
And it's a good balance actually for this show because it doesn't suddenly plunge it into the depths of kind of some grim kind of the villain is evil but still he's not kind of Hammer horror evil.
He's humanly evil.
Yes.
Rather than pantomime evil.
Yes.
And also there's the ultimate demise of Wilson, who's a character one grows to like a lot. Well, I did.
Yes.
And
we tried to make him a really likeable character so that his outcome is even more.
And that, I fear, may be the thing that I'm going to take home with me, unfortunately, because that kind of thing, that's one of my childhood phobias. You'll be delighted to know.
That's horrific. I think that's kind of why we went with it. We were like, that's a horrible way to go. And in fact, I think when I pictured it, I pictured Goodfellas. You know the scene where they got Joe Pesci and they smack him.
You don't mean the pizza company, do you? I realise.
No. And that's where that kind of came from. We were like, that's horrible. Let's do something.
I actually thought that scene was going to end slightly differently, without giving too much away. But the caretaker is forced to dig up a grave.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen. I think there may be a film called Hang 'Em High. It was when Clint Eastwood was churning out westerns by the yard rather than by an qualitative threshold. But for some reason or another, I was forced to watch one as a child, and these Mexican bandits were forced to dig their own shallow graves, were then shot in the back and immediately... That was not nice for a 6-year-old. And now
and you're reliving those memories right now.
So he comes on with a spade, and oh Lord.
Is that what you thought was going to happen?
I did think that was what was going to happen. But it's gruesome enough. So
it wasn't far off.
No, it's not. but that actually adds the depth that you need to paint the villain's character, and thereby also the contrast with the hero characters and all points in between. So there's a lot of grey in the plot, and that's good. That's not. I don't mean that in a negative sense at all. And the score, I think, supports and carries that further. I mean, I'm going to say you have been described, at least in one review, as the most sensitive musical director in Edinburgh. But that's not a million miles away from the truth, is it? Because you're square on stage.
Thank you very much.
And in a way, you're the man on the spot. You need to know when to do this. You're reacting because it's a collaborative effort. All the arts are, but so much more in theatre and in musical theatre twice as much. There's twice as many people involved. So it was clear to see that you were feeding off the energies both from the actors and indeed the audience. I thought. You tell me I'm absolutely wrong.
No, definitely, and that's the thing. It can be slightly different every night. I mean, the score is set obviously, and the actors know what they're doing. But
it'd be
things
difficult for
take
the lyrics if you changed it.
Exactly, of course. I don't think the actors would be too pleased either. But it's slightly different. Things take longer. Set changes take longer. To reach a certain emotional point might take a few more bars of music, and so you're constantly looking and reacting to what's going on stage. And so,
But the other nice thing I think about this score is it gives people time to breathe at points. So there are those moments where, and presumably it's relatively organised between yourself and the actors, but there are those moments where they can take their pause and presumably cue you back in, and it's not all, particularly given that you're behind them, it's not regimented, and
that's even harder because there's no monitor for the cast. They can't see me. And in a normal setting, the band would be in a pit at the front, and it would all be easy to communicate stuff.
That's why it was so important that he could see, because originally we were trying to work out how we were going to set it up, and at one point it was suggested to have the band in front of the stage, and we were like, that's not really going to work with a live drummer. So we kind of shoved him at the back, but then Grant needs to see, so literally Grant's centre of the stage with a curtain pulled, and all you can see when there's a spotlight on someone is his little head popping up.
My little head at the back.
Well, I think actually what's quite nice about the way that it's been set is you do have, to be fair, for most of the show, two rather large staircases stuck in front of you.
Yes.
So, yes, we're conscious that there is somebody back there, but you're not actually revealed, per se, until about 70% of the way through the show. And so, unlike with some shows, where a visible MD can detract, even though we know you're there, it doesn't actually bother us that much. It certainly didn't bother me.
People are not bothered by you,
but you can,
that's good.
You know what I mean. You can see, if you see someone moving at the background, particularly if they're very obviously, like as an MD you'd keep the beat or whatever, the movement can sometimes be distracting.
Obviously being the Fringe and there's such simplistic use of set and props for a show that clearly demands a massive...
It's a show that has got a huge amount of ambition, and it's very clear.
But how did that translate for you guys in the audience? Did it sit... Was it an adequate portrayal?
Well, it would have been lovely to see the Speech Marks West End version, and indeed you could hear it very strongly in both the book and the score. But it was striving for that. I mean, I think the breadth of the score also.
Definitely, and there was things like the one that struck me was is it the end of Newland where the cast is lined up at the front of the stage?
Was it
Newland? That is Newland, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I thought. And yes, I think you've actually used a good word there, in no derogatory sense whatsoever, and because we are at the Fringe, there were points where the set was adequate.
Yeah.
And it did the job perfectly well. It didn't detract from the show. But in your mind's eye, there was this sense of, if you had a whole saloon bar, in that one, the saloon bar, so everyone could be sitting at their tables, knees up on tables, all that, rather than being in a line at the front. But it doesn't suffer for being a line at the front of the stage at all. In actual fact, it brought the performance more to the audience at that point.
You do get the joy of intimacy in a venue like that.
Yeah.
If you're bored with the show, you can just touch your neighbours. But I don't know why I said that.
Remind me to take a seat between us next time.
I wasn't bored with the show, David. Seriously, no. It was never inadequate, but you could tell, and one wanted it to be bigger than you could possibly have done here. But I would drool to see it on a West End stage or a larger stage in its 2-act form.
So would I.
But it's the kind of thing I think, and what is different to this to some new Fringe musicals, I think you would agree, Thos, is that this is the kind of thing that you can already envision at that point.
Oh yes.
Whereas there are a lot of Fringe shows that I've seen over the years, either preparing to come up here or actually up here, where you think, well, yes, you've got the ambition, but I can't see it in this show at its current state. And this is precisely why I say that the line comment is actually a compliment to you, is that you want it to be there because you can see that happening.
Yeah.
It's not a show that feels like it needs to be worked up. It feels like it is a fully worked up show, which just happens to be wearing a slightly more Spartan suit for Edinburgh, but doesn't everybody in fairness?
Quite.
Well, we honestly, as we say, we think this is a cracking show. I think it's definitely 4 stars, and we had to have a big old discussion. Forgive me. What if it was an A-level mark? It would be 4 stars plus.
Yes.
And we strongly recommend that people go and see it because it is, I think, certainly from what I've seen so far, the most exciting, the best piece of new writing in Edinburgh in 2012.
Wow.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
So, how can people see it? Damn you.
How can people see it?
Yes. Where is it on? What time?
Well, we're on at Surgeons Hall at 8:15, part of the Space venue, and we're here until the 25th of August.
No
Book
Sunday
now.
shows. Yeah, no Sunday shows though. So
Right.
don't come up expecting it on Sunday.
You come up to it for one day, don't come up on Sunday. Yeah.
That's a really bad day
Yeah.
for us.
You can get tickets at the Fringe box office or online at Surgeons Hall, and you can find us on Facebook/Newland Musical.
Lovely. Well, I've said it before, and I shall say it again, David, but more importantly, if I may say on this occasion, Grant and Tom, thank you very, very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you for writing this show, which deserves to be seen, and if people
Agreed.
don't see it, it won't be your fault.
Thank you very much.
All power to your elbow.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're listening to Musical Talk.
Tony was a banker from New Orleans. He worked there every day. And when the place got robbed, I got the blame. He knew he had to get away. I came on down to Newland, where the best is to raise, where everyone is welcome, and you can find a place. Don't live your life and waiting, when a century is waiting. If you find it like a trading, then come and join today. All was a mine from Delaware, digging up copper and tin. But then the mine got closed, I was out in the cold. He turned his talent to gold. I came on down to Newland, the town of fortune and fame, where everyone is welcome, and we don't know your name. We'll be dancing till midnight, the whiskey's flowing and it feels right. We're rocking to our rhythm tonight, life has forever changed. We're getting short on beds, but don't worry, we'll have shelter built for everybody soon. You know, building a town is sure as hell a lot harder than I thought. It sure is when your lazy brother ain't helping. I am helping. I'm overseeing the project. How you getting on, Miss Rose?
This is fine, thank you, Mr. Bennett. I was wondering whether I could be considered for a teaching position.
That's not yet possible.
Why is that?
Ain't no school built yet.
It was either a school or a brothel. And I like a brothel.
A couple of days passed and guess who stopped by? With 6 kids on his way to Illinois. Now he just wanted to say, I'm just passing through. He said you don't have to leave. You can stay here if you want to in Newland, the town where we want to be, where everyone is welcome and the living is free. No crime, no persecution. We passed our resolution. We're a brand new institution. No other living for me. God bless Newland. Nowhere else we wanna be.
Well, there we have it. Musical Talk's Pick of the Fringe 2012, Newland the Musical. And though I can't say more at the moment, we have high hopes that will be produced again quite shortly, so that if you didn't get a chance to see it in Edinburgh, you can see it again somewhere else. More news on that, I hope, in the future. And not only that, we're also hoping to have a special showcase episode of Musical Talk later in the year, quite specifically about Newland. So do, once again, stay tuned for that. And you can tell it was a good show, because as I conducted that interview, you heard those fireworks going off. It's very good of the council to have laid that on. As I said on Twitter, Newland the Musical is the Musical Talk Pick of the Fringe 2012, the most exciting new musical writing up there this year. And rather splendidly, after I sent that tweet, the cast went on to meet David Hasselhoff, who also had a show up in Edinburgh this year, and he declared the show to be a good musical. So I tweeted again, Newland the Musical has officially been declared a good musical by David Hasselhoff. I feel entirely vindicated by such a competent authority. After all, the man who sang in Jekyll and Hyde must know something, I imagine. Well, That's the end of this week's episode of Musical Talk, talking about the Edinburgh Fringe. There's so much more to say about that fantastic arts festival, but do tune in again over the next few weeks because we'll be hearing about many more wonderful shows. Remember, although today was described as the cream of the crop, there are other 5- and 4-star shows to talk about, which were equally excellent, but we are going to be theming those differently. Next week, the theme is death, death, death. Yes, why not have something cheerful? But for the time being, that's it for this bumper episode of Musical Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that it has inspired you to seek out these musicals or find out more about them from their websites. And if nothing else, make a point of coming to the Edinburgh Fringe yourself in the future to see other new shows and sometimes revivals of these ones. But for the time being, I can only say goodbye. So I will. Goodbye. This episode of Musical Talk presented by Thos and David Kingsmill and edited by Thos. Copyright Musical Talk 2012, except for the music, where the copyright remains with the original creators. And now for some Edinburgh Fringe musical out-talks.
The way this works is, forgive me, it's very, very simple. Musical Talk does what it says on the tin. Yep. It's not a series of questions per se. It's not one of those kind of regulated interviews. It's we'll talk. It'll take us however long it takes. A very thumbnail sketch is about 15 minutes. If we all dry out probably early, which I doubt we'll do on this, it's less. But if we get into a good conversational groove, as they say, then it will take a little bit longer. Is that all right for you, time-wise? If you say anything halfway through the conversation you wish you hadn't said, you've libelled your cast, you tell everyone precisely what you really think of them, or you've offended a major backer, do say, actually, could we take that line out? Very happy to take that out. We're not Panorama, we're not going to expose you. I want this to be a happy experience for everybody involved. And where I normally start is I ask people to give me their name, the name of the show. You'd be surprised how many people forget to mention that little part, which is always sadness, and their involvement in the show. And then we'll just sort of take it from there. Thank you very much indeed.
Members of the...
With patrons and tickets for software performance of company, please stand signs on the right-hand side. Thank you.
And it won't just be my boring old voice droning at you through your ear pods.
And they've all been very, very much on board and start a lot.
For patrons with software performance, tickets of the software performance of company, please stand signs on the right-hand side. Thank you.
Now, is that all right for you two?
That's great. That's
awesome,
wonderful.
yeah.
Thank you very
And
much.
if you can use that quotation, please do.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't
no,
definitely.
thank
Yeah,
you,
that's a wonderful, it's a wonderful quotation to have.
Brilliant to hear.
I'm going to do what I did last time, which is ask you to give me your name, which I spectacularly got wrong, by the way, when I introduced you.
Oh, I think I did hear that part of it.
Oh, you got as far as...
Was it? Yeah, I got as far as my name. I think you said...
I made it with
And here's Gladys.
It wasn't
Grant
quite
and...
Gladys.
Yeah.
I gave you a J. I looked at it and I remembered you said it was Spanish, so I had a guess at Giro, but of course it wasn't.
Heron. You just imagine it was a H.
You Spanish, partly Spanish.
Yeah.
How much?
Half. My dad's Spanish.
Snap.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Can you speak Spanish?
Not very well.
Snap.
I'm okay when I've been around my dad for a couple of days, but...
Can you say Heron?
Thomas, Heron.
Non-snap, because I can't.
My hand.
Maybe I'm here with Grant, Martin, and Thomas Heron.
Right. I'll ask you for your names, the name of the show, always important, and your involvement in it.
Yes.
I'll mention you as well, obviously, David, so people... you aren't just a voice from nowhere.
I'm Gladys!
And we'll take it from there with Gladys.
Oh God, there's an outtalk.
No, it's getting its own special podcast. Now that's about 30 minutes. Are you happy with that?
I'm very happy
And there's nothing
with
to
that.
take out of anything?
No.
Thank you. I think.
Did you think there was anything that I was saying?
No. I thought it was just right. If you don't mind me saying. Are you both happy with that?
Yeah.
Are you happy with that?
I think so.
Are you all happy with that?
Then I shall begin.
I'm going to turn it off now.
Absolutely.
Death.